Well, tomorrow, Joseph is... not tomorrow, Wednesday, the London Mozart Players at the Fairfield Hall in Croydon. Joseph is conducting and Thomas is playing. More of that shortly. Actually, well, would you think of an idea of a duo?
Well, you know, Tom is on the advisory board of a new charity that I'm establishing. I'm in the process of establishing. It's an art center in Maine, USA, in the wilderness, and we're planning on building mobile eco-village type art centers all over the world. And Tom's on our advisory board, and it was all his idea. No, I told him I wouldn't say that. But yeah, so it's called the Utopia Hills Arts Center, and all of them all over the world will be called that. And for short, we call it UHAC.
That doesn't sound so romantic.
So we thought we'd call ourselves the UHAC duo. How about that?
I don't think, with the greatest respect, I don't think you'd fill a hall with that name.
Oh no,
Utopia duo will do nicely.
Oh, okay.
There's
got to be some humor in it, you know.
Well, I think we should try to maybe take in tune when you maybe have Utopia Hills in the Caribbean and various places like that.
Yes. Well, actually, we're actually focusing on the depressed areas of the world, which because this is all a social project, and we're gonna bring mobile art centers, carbon neutral eco village art centers to depressed areas, stay for 6 months or a year, kind of like a circus, you know. But we'll have a steady stream of professional musicians coming in, teaching disadvantaged children, and being a part of the arts scene of that particular community. Perhaps we'll have 10 or 20 of them around the world at any given time.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Isn't that fantastic?
So we're working on it.
There are so many places you can go. I've just been to India and seeing a lot of people attempting to bring children along. One guy in Go, which of course is very paradisical, but you know he had at least 6 children who are street children. They know where else to go, and he's teaching them the violin, and their poise and their dignity when they have that instrument is so extraordinary.
I am so excited about this. I will go anywhere where there is a UHAC in the third world and teach anyone who comes to me. Hopefully we'll have funding so that most of the people who will participate will be completely funded and on full scholarship. So it's a big dream of mine, and it's finally happening.
Wonderful. Well,
it
all
looks
right,
like it's happening.
We're blazing it in lights now. So
I won't be able to do it alone. I'm going to need lots of help. Lots of help, but I think it's a good idea.
In the meantime, on Wednesday, with the wonderful London Mozart Players, they're having a big, I think, launching an appeal to secure the orchestra's future at the concert in Fairfield Halls in Croydon. So we don't need to look too far from home these days where people are having difficulty. And in this climate, it's very, very difficult for orchestras who suddenly, and the capriciousness sometimes, as they see it, of public funding. And maybe, you know, it's not just as altruistic as it is in the United States. It's very difficult.
Oh, it's difficult. It's a difficult time for everybody. But, I mean, still, I think we have to remember how privileged we are, you know, in the arts world. And when things are difficult for us, things are even more difficult for people lower down on the social ladder. So it's important to put it in perspective.
Well, on Wednesday, you'll be launching a new recording that you made on Signum Classics. We've got a little sneak preview with the Malmo Opera Orchestra, Joseph conducting, and Thomas Bowes, the soloist, in the Samuel Barber Violin Concerto. You didn't find the last movement. We're going to hear the finale, which is pretty fast and dazzling.
Yes, there's not a note longer than a nanosecond in the finale.
Because when it was commissioned, the guy who was forward really had absolutely got terrified, I think.
Well, you know, that's quite interesting, because if you do a little research, he's mounted a very strong, or his estate has mounted a strong defence of that. There's a whole website about it, and I think that if you read Barbara Hayman's book, she goes into it and she says, well, yes, he did raise the flag and said he didn't like the last movement. Couldn't he write another section, another idea? He thought it was too short. But the guy could clearly play the violin. I mean, he was a prodigious talent. He played Paganini concertos and so on. So I think the story has kind of gained a little bit of momentum, and it's all been at his cost.
Iso Briselli.
Which hasn't entirely been fair.
Well,
I think.
Okay, we apologise.
Yeah, but it makes a good story, doesn't it? The story used to be that he complained that the first 2 movements were too easy and the last movement was too difficult. I think
it
it's...
reminds us of the Tchaikovsky concerto story too, with Leopold Auer saying that it's
Yeah.
impossible to play, and then having all of his students
become the people who...
Jascha Heifetz, Misha Elman, and all the rest who made their careers on that impossible,
But it
unplayable
goes
piece.
right to the heart of, how the business of recognising a masterpiece at the moment that it comes out. It's not so easy because all kinds of other factors are involved. I mean, you should read a review. I tracked down a review of the concerto when Stern made his recording in the 60s. It was absolutely laughed out of the place for being sentimental, and it's extraordinary.
Taste change, and of course, if we all were knowledgeable at the time, we'd all be very bright and clever. But sometimes it just takes a little bit of bedding in. Anyway, here it is, and it's lovely to have you both. Thank you very
for
much
having
indeed.
us.
Thank you very
And
much.
here's to Utopia. We're raising the flag for Utopia and for Barbara as well. And here is that Fast and Furious finale. Finale from the Barber Violin Concerto. My guest Thomas Bowes and the Malmö Opera Orchestra, conducted by my other guest Joseph Swenson. That's a little preview on the Signum Classics label of a CD that's coming out this week of the Barber and the Walton concertos. And it was wonderful to have Thomas and Joseph just flying by the seat of their pants and playing so fabulously for us in the studio. And the very best of luck to their Utopia Hills project and to their concert on Wednesday. There'll be energy aplenty by the look of it. Fairfield Halls and Croydon with the London Mozart Players, and they're at the that's Fairfield Halls and Croydon, and then the 11th of May they're at the Anvil in Basingstoke, and they're launching an appeal to secure the orchestra's future. We wish them the very, very best.